by highly recognized experts. I extend my special thanks to the Principal and Chairman, Dr. HOD, Reena Mishra, and my colleagues for giving a platform to our students for enhancing their knowledge and Assistant Professor Ravindra Phadke sir. Sir has completed MA in Economics, MPhil in Economics, and pursued opportunity to extend my heartfelt for taking out time for our students. Now, I request sir to take over the dais.
Thank you, Namrata ma'am. It is immense pleasure to associate Sri Siddha Thakurnath College of Arts and Commerce, Ulhasnagar. It's my pleasure to associate this college. I sincerely thank Dr. J.C. Puraswani sir, a founder principal, Vice Principal Dr. Khushbu Puraswani madam, Vice Principal Dr. Santosh Karmani sir, Head of the Department Reena Mishra ma'am, and entire team of S.S.T College. It's my sincere thanks that they have called me, they have invited me for the guest lecture for the subject of business economics for TYBCOM semester 6. Now, without wasting a further delay, let's start with today's session of TYBCOM semester 6 business economics 6. So first, student, we will discuss the entire syllabus for our semester 6 business economics. Definitely, we will discuss the entire year academic in nutshell, because to summarize the entire year course, the college has organized this crash course. So we have to see the extreme bullet points, we have to see the paragrams of your entire syllabus. So your syllabus is divided into 4 modules. The first module is all about the introduction to international trade. There we have to discuss the economists called Adam Smith, David Ricardo, Heckscher Ohlin. Then we have to see what kind of terms of trade has been established, traded or deal with various countries in the world. After dealing the terms, after dealing the rules and regulation, what kind of gains or profit or loss made by the countries. So that's what we have to summarize in our first module. In the second module, we have to see what kind of commercial policies usually countries are made, and those policies are always come up with certain tariffs and non-tariff policies with how they are imposing as a barriers. Then after making policies, how they can integrate it together, that is what we call as an economic integration. So that's what we have to see in the second module. Then after economic integration, we have to see whether country is gaining kind of profit or loss. So those records we usually maintain in the balance of payment. So in the third module, we will study what is the meaning of balance of payment, then causes of disequilibrium in the balance of payment, then measures to take over the balance of payment, then how World Trade Organization established in the world, the need of World Trade Organization, and how World Trade Organization later replaced with GATT. And in the last module, we will discuss the foreign exchange market, how the foreign exchange market overcome the entire global market, how the exchange rate determine in the universal market, what is the meaning of purchasing power parity theory, and then at the last we have to see the role of central bank, how central bank interfere in the exchange rate management. So this is what we have in nutshell. This is what we have the entire syllabus for your entire semester C for the subject of business economics 6. Okay. Now we will go once again little back. We will go on the previous slide. Then we have to see first of all you have to understand the entire chronology or chronological order of syllabus. If you will see in the first module, they have made or they have drafted the syllabus in such a way that we have to first understand the various trade theories made by economists in the world. So first of all, we have to understand that what is the meaning of international trade and how international trade later overcome the global market and how international trade later started needed as a part of their businesses and as a part of their commerce. So we have to first understand few theories which are written by economist, classical economist. It may be a classical economist, or it may be a neoclassical economist, or maybe a modern economist also, because we have to understand that the trading activities are something which are keeps on changing. Every after 10 years, every after a decade, the trading policies or trading partnership also get changes. The overall structure of trade or commerce also changes. So we need to understand the structure or structural changes of trading activities across the world. But before understanding in 2020's trading activities, we have to first go back in the history, how it was working, and later how it has grown. Later, we have to see how the terms established between the countries, that we will discuss definitely in the gains. Now, after understanding the various international trade theories, we will later understand what kind of policies usually countries are performing and what kind of policies countries are taking. So that's what we have to see. It is not mandatory own bilateral activity, or every country have their own bilateral economy. Maybe somehow they have some protectionist economy also. So accordingly, they are developing their commercial policies. So that also what we have to see. Then how they are started imposing various tariffs and non-tariff barriers, and how they are creating hurdles for developing the trading activities and to establishing their trading partners. Then we have to see how they are making their integrated policies to make as their own unite activity or as their own unity activity. So that we will see in the second module. The third chronology is talking about the balance of payment. Like now what we have seen here, how the trading activities started, how the trading activities enlarged. In the second module, we have seen how the trading partners or trading countries are started developing or performing their policies on the basis of various terms and the rules and regulations. Then after establishing term, how they are enjoying or how when the global trade or when the global partners are having their activities Okay, so now we'll move ahead with our first slide. Uh, first of all, we have to understand your paper pattern. So this time we're actually online, and you will be having a multiple choice question. And the paper pattern is given, prescribed by University of Mumbai for the academic year for 21-22. So this will be your paper pattern. And I hope you people have preparing your. We will start with the first module, with the very first chapter itself is talking about comparative cost advantage theory of international trade. The idea of comparative cost advantage theory given by David Ricardo is taken by Adam Smith's absolute cost advantage theory, because Adam Smith was the founder, you can say, an economist who gave a light on the theory of international trade, talking about an absolute cost advantage. But then David Ricardo is another economist who was the British classical writer or the reader, who says that the international trade theory is not based on absolute, but it is based on comparative cost advantage. It means that commodity countries are not exporting one type of services. They might have dual commodities, or sometimes they might have multiple commodities also. So while exporting those commodities, countries can easily compare between the exports, and out of those exports, country can make a comparative analysis म्यूट तो हो गया, unmute हो गया। आई गेस अभी होना चाहिए सर। हाँ, मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि होना चाहिए। वो तो कर दिया हमने। हाँ, होस्ट कौन है? होस्ट सर। हेलो। सबको होस्ट बनाइए। है ना ऐसे कुछ? नहीं, वो आ रहा है जा रहा है, लेकिन तो अभी मैम ने उनके मोबाइल से कनेक्ट करके दिया। हाँ। So, in nutshell, what we have seen is Adam Smith always says that the international trade is based on absolute cost advantage, whereas David Ricardo is always insisting that trade is with the comparative cost advantage. Now, we will proceed with our another thought given by Elie Heckscher and Bertil Ohlin. Elie Heckscher was a Swedish economist and Bertil Ohlin was an Australian economist who completed Elie Heckscher's theory, which was written on factor endowment and factor abundance theory. This HO theorem is also known as modern theory of international trade also. Elie Heckscher was taken the idea from David Ricardo's comparative cost advantage, says that comparative cannot be the host or comparative cannot be the crux of any international trade. It depends upon the endowment or availability of natural resources by respective country and availability or the quantum or the volume of resources of the nation. So if a nation has amount of volume or a nation has an volume of resources, so they can easily create or make an export in the world, and in case if they have the scarcity, then it may not possible to export the commodities. But unfortunately, due to his physical health or his physical conditions, he lost his death, and where the Bertil Ohlin take over the charge of his theory and he completed the work. He says that a nation will export the commodity whose production requires the intensive use of the nation's relatively abundant and cheap factor. We can take an example of Gulf countries. Gulf countries are producing an abundant production of petroleum products, as we all are aware. Why? Because they are endowed with those resources. So when they have the resources abundantly available, so they can easily get cheap labor supply, they can easily get pauper labor also, and they can easily make the exports of their commodities at a cheap labor supply also. Import the commodity whose production requires the intensive use of the nation's relatively scarce and expensive factor. Wherever the availability of resources becomes scarce, always the labor factor become more and more costlier. So this way it works get corrected. So now here we have seen two theories. The one, comparative cost advantage theory, given by David Ricardo, modern theory of international trade, or you can say the factor endowment or factor abundance theory given by Eli Heckscher and Bertil Ohlin. So the one theory which was in the prescribed slide I have said, Adam Smith, absolute cost, David Ricardo's comparative cost, Heckscher-Ohlin endowment and factor abundance. Then there are few more theories like Haberler's opportunity cost theory, then Venin's theory, then Ribinski theorem, and then there are many more theories are come up as the time has been changes. So here the entire idea prescribed or given by various economists. Now we will proceed with the another concept called as terms of trade. First of all, here we have to understand that what is the meaning of terms. Terms are nothing but imposing various rules, regulations, or you can say barriers while doing the trade. Because when trade becomes official, when commerce become more and more official, that work always come up with certain terms. But it depends upon country to country also. It depends upon nation to nation also. Because there are some countries are good in terms of their political relations, social relations, economic relations, and with some other countries they are not in good terms. So in that case they may follow some favoritism policy, they have maybe some bilateralism, or sometimes they have their own concessional policies also. So we have to understand that what is the meaning of terms of trade here. The ratio of price of its export commodity to the price of its import commodity, that how much country is getting while exporting the commodity and how much country is earning out of its import. Sometimes it may happen the country receives a good amount for their exportable goods and services, and sometimes their expectations do not get fulfilled when they are importing the commodity. So export and import may not be on the official terms, may not be on the official rate. So in that case, the terms of trade may work for their working node. So the question is like how to calculate, how to measure whether terms of trade are favorable or it is unfavorable. So here we have a simple relation. Here we have a simple reasons that net barter system we have, then we have a gross barter system, and then we have the income barter system also. And now what is the meaning of net barter system? Net barter system is nothing but actual exportable goods divided by actual imports of goods and services, that how much country is exporting goods and how much country is importing goods. So what is the ratio? And after calculating the ratio, if we get the amount or if we receive the amount which is on the favorable side, then definitely the terms of trade is more favorable. Whereas if we get the amount which is more and more on the deficit side, then definitely it is not in our favorable condition. Then next we have the gross barter system. Now gross barter system is the total amount of goods and services which we are exporting and total amount of goods and services which we are importing. So again, out of the total goods and services, how much we gain and how much we lose. So on the basis of are loss and profit, we can decide, or country can decide, whether terms which we are deciding with the countries, with the another countries, are in our favor or it is in our loss. Then we have an income terms of trade. Income terms of trade is further divided into two parts. The one is called as single factor terms of trade and double factor terms of trade. Now, single factor terms of trade is what? It means actually when they are imposing terms and conditions over only one factor. So it may be labor, or it may be a capital, or it may be a machinery, or it may be any factor which they are trying to impose. Whereas double factor terms of trade, it is more than one factor, it is more than one particular specific thought. So in that case, it is known as the terms of trade, and these are the various measures to calculate the terms of trade, whether it is in their favor or it is in their loss. Now, in the first two chapters, what we have seen the various trade theories. Okay. In the second, what we have seen, terms of trade, that how they are establishing and how they are imposing various terms, how they are trying to develop various rules and regulations, so the countries may gain good amount of profit. In now fourth chapter, we have to see what they are gaining out of the trade. Now, what is the meaning of gain? Gain is nothing. Sometimes it may be in your favor, or sometimes it is against your favor also. Not necessarily every time that out of trading activities, your businesses will bloom or your businesses will gain huge amount of profit. So on this thought, J.S. Mill, who was an English classical economist, who developed few concepts related to gains from trade, that how you can measure or how you can calculate the concept of gains. So he has given two concepts called as the reciprocal demand and an offer curve. So what is the meaning of reciprocal demand? Reciprocal demand is nothing but a mutual demand for each goods and services of trading partners. Means how much country, like let's assume an example of India. Like India is importing certain amount of petroleum products from Gulf countries. So how much we are importing, how much we are purchasing against how much we are selling, how much we are buying against how much we are selling. So that is called as the reciprocal demand. As we all are aware that there are few commodities which individual state governments could not buy in our country, and that authority is only given to the central government. So central government is the one source from we receive the petroleum distribution, oil distribution, and later it get distribute among the states. So that is called as the reciprocal demand. See, there are three types. The one is called as an individual, when a single person who demands, market demand, when a group of people are demanding. And third will be your reciprocal demand, where the whole nation is demanding certain amount of goods and services. Now, in case of offer curve is nothing but a graphical representation of reciprocal demand. What we are offering to another country and what they are offering to our nation. So suppose if we have trading relations with Russia, so what we can offer to Russia and what Russia can offer to India. So when we are depicting or when we are representing this demand and supply, when we are depicting this demand and supply in a graphical way, that time it is known as an offer curve. And the concept of offer curve is propounded by J.S. Mill. And these are the questions which frequently comes for your examination. So here you have to remember these three names for sure. The one will be your John Stuart Mill or J.S. Mill, who propounded the concepts called as a reciprocal demand and the offer curve. Reciprocal demand is nothing but a mutual demand by a nation for one particular or one specific commodity from other country. And offer curve is what? Offer curve is nothing but graphical representation of a reciprocal demand. So whatever nations are demanding and whatever other nations are demanding from us, so these demands, when we are depicting these demands, when we are representing with the help of curves, those curves are called as an offer curve. So these are the three frequent question comes for your examination: offer curve, reciprocal demand, and John Stuart Mill. So let me give you a quick brush up or a quick recap with your post module. In the post module, with the post two chapters, we discuss two trade theories: the one which is called as the comparative cost advantage theory and the Heckscher-Ohlin theory. Comparative cost given by David Ricardo. Heckscher-Ohlin is all about the modern theory of international trade, which is factor endowment and factor abundance. A third chapter, which was a commercial policy, uh, how the countries are developing their policies with the help of their various terms, how they are imposing terms, whether those terms are in their favor or not. So that is called as the terms of trade. Then in the fourth chapter, we have seen the gains from trade, whether country is gaining something out of their trading activities or not. So those gains or losses we are representing with the help of offer curve. So now we are proceeding with our second module, which chapter number 5 is known as a commercial policy. So first of all, we have to understand that what is the meaning of policy. Students here get usually confused while understanding the program policy. A policy is something framing one structural program, and program is something requires an execution, some etiquettes. So that is something requires the policy. And here we are talking about the commercial policy, means definitely the money is comes, money goes. So in that case, we have to frame the policy in a such a way that maximum nations will be benefited. No one will get affected badly or in their in terms of their money. So it is government's policy in relations to countries, their internal and international trade. Also, commercial policies are not only made for international, but even for their internal or domestic trading activities also. It can also be described as the regulations and policies that govern how companies and individuals in one country carry out trade and commerce. Like in case if we wish to develop trading partner, in case if we wish to develop some new customers into the market, so that time how we are developing policy. And while developing policy, we could not think only that only our nation will be into a profit, but at the same time we have to see whether other country or the partner country is getting any benefits from us or not. So accordingly, we have to develop the policy which will be amalgamated together. So why to develop policy? What are the objectives behind developing the commercial policy? So always it helps to increase the volume of trade. Now, in case of volume of trade, students get confused of what does it mean. Volume does not mean only you are expanding the business, but you are maintaining the quality of your businesses also. You are only expanding across the world without maintaining the quality, which will hamper your business, your trading activities in a negative way also. Then the another major goal or objective behind this commercial policy, it encourages and it promotes your trading activities also. When you are positively making some policies which will help to encourage and which will help to develop your policies and which will help to develop your trading activities also. Then we have expands production, goods and services. Expanding is nothing but when you are developing the range of your products. Like suppose if you are producing one core product, along with your core product, when you are making some complementary products which goes hand in hand, which will definitely competitive in the market, which will get the proper range of the market to maintain favorable balance of payment. Obviously, policies, when you're framing policies always give you a structural program to how to work and how to trade in the market. So it always helps you to gain the profit. Always it helps you to maintain favorable condition in your balance of payment. Then it maintains desired rate of exchange also. Desired rate of exchange is somehow, I strongly believe, depends upon the market structure, because market is so volatile that you could not control the market. But then we can try to maintain. If we are maintaining policies in such a way. So this is in nutshell. While developing the commercial policies, the policies are broadly divided into the first is called as the pre-trade policy and the another is called as the protectionist policy. Again, here students get confused while understanding the pre-trade policy. They might be thinking that it may be the trade policy is without exchanging money, or it may be a free of cost. No, free trade means when the countries are releasing country by imposing various barriers, imposing tariffs and non-tariff barriers. So they do not restrict country, they do not restrict nation just because they are highly paying tariffs or non-tariff. So they have to pay only the cost or the price of respective product only. So free trade activities usually happen when they have their integrated economies, like when they have the economies with some cartels. So among those groups or among those integrated economy, usually they go with the free trade policies. So how it helps? Suppose India having some free trade policies with Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, or many other countries. So how it will help to India and how it will help to other nations. So it always helps to increase the efficiency, it increases the promotion of their efficiency. Because when you have more and more free trade partners, which always increases and enhances your efficiency, because you are developing your bilateral trading activities and you are developing your multi trading activities also, because they are showing you to develop partnership, they are showing you to develop more and more their deals or their amalgamations also. Whenever you have free trade activities, it always helps you to grow your economy. Again, students also get confused here between to understand growth and development. Growth is something when you are expanding your economic ventures, when you are expanding your economic boundaries, when your economy is booming, when your economy is giving you an opportunity for the employment, when country is asking for many more projects. So overall there is an expansion. Development is something when your economy is established and you are making many more improvements, when you are enhancing performances of your companies or your sector, that time it can call as the development. Development can be happen only when your economy is growing an appropriate direction. Always it encourages the competitiveness attitude also, because unless and until if you do not have that approach, you could not develop yourself. So free trade always promoting that you can enact it as even a competitor also. Free trade always helps to reduce the prices, because countries do not impose perpetually the tariffs and non-tariff barriers, which always helps to cut down the prices, which always helps to short down the prices. Economic welfare, yes, always economic welfare is something when the people who get the benefits, people who receive the benefit out of government policies and programs. Welfare policies are nothing but when the people who get the advantage, when people who get the benefit out of their various policies. Protectionist policies, like there are few countries who enacted with the protectionist policies also there, and like who are the beneficiaries in case of protectionist policies. So the first benefit or the advantage who receive after protectionist is all about the infant industries argument. Now who is the infant industry? Infant industries are those who are recently established, that they might have not even covered, they might have not even deal or done with 1 or 2 years also. So that time these protectionist policies always helping, or it always encourages to enhance their performance against those who are well established in the same market. Then diversification argument. Diversification is like, they can easily diversify their own setup, they can easily diversify with their own techniques and the technology. Employment argument, usually it might have seen in various economies, especially in underdeveloped countries, that infant industries or new industries are providing various employment background to new sectors also. So it may be even the tertiary or even the continental sector also. A pauper labor argument, you might have not heard about the pauper labor argument. Pauper labor argument is something comparative study between the developed countries and the less developed countries. Usually what happens in developed countries, the population is limited, the population is scarce, which costs them high. So the labor cost in developed countries are comparatively higher than less developed countries or underdeveloped countries. So you might have taken example of India and US, where India have more amount of population, we have a huge amount of population which cost lesser, we have a labor low cost. And that's why what happened, usually Americans hiring Indian cheap labor, which always generating unemployment in American economy. So with that domestic economy, the unemployment rate rises because of pauper labor argument. Pauper is something when a nation is hiring cheap labor supply from underdeveloped economy or from least developed economies, just because we have the protectionist policies here, because we have some deals or we have some policies framed accordingly that you have to hire our own people. Anti-dumping argument. Dumping everyone knows about when certain countries are trying to sell their product in the international market or in the global market at a cheaper rate, at a lesser price. But then there are few countries who follow anti-dumping policy, means they do not allow any country to sell their product at comparatively lesser cost, like USA imposed already Chinese economy that they could not dump their products at the cheaper rate in the universal market, and that's why like now they have to pay even the export duties also, because they do not follow anti-dumping policy. And anti-dumping is one of the protectionist policy that they are trying to protect their own domestic economy. Protectionist policies are usually made for securing their own domestic economy purposely. Now, after understanding the our tariffs and non-tariffs, so like we have to see now, tariff is all about tax imposed on commodities that are traded across national border of a country. But then there is a difference between tax and tariff, which students usually get confused. The basic difference between the tax and the tariff is like when you are recurring the amount out of your income called as the tax, and tariff is something when you are recurring the income after sales of goods and services called as the tariff. So that is the basic difference between your taxes and tariffs. It helps to raise government revenues. Obviously taxes and tariffs are one and the same, it goes parallel, but the meaning of these two forms are different. So one is collection against income and one is collection against goods and services. It always helps to raise the government revenue. It protects and support domestic industries, to conserve foreign exchange reserves, to reduce dependency, and will become self-sufficient. So these are the few benefits we receive, we get after imposing tariff, because tariffs is something always helping the government to generate their revenues. Then always it helps and support the domestic economies all of, like in case if China is dumping their commodities at a cheaper rate in our country, so we can start imposing some import tariff to them, so they can easily cut down their commodities, they can easily cut down their supply also. Then always it helps to conserve even foreign exchange reserves also, and it affects their even dependency also. Now, what is the meaning of non-tariff? Non-tariff means something restricting imports through measures than other. Sometimes it happens that country could not be able to impose any tariff. So in that case, they can use some non-direct methods also, which we call as the non-tariff barrier, that they can easily put some quota. So we usually follow this system called as the import quota. So we restrict with certain amount of or limited amount of commodities and services which we purchase from other nation. Then we develop some domestic subsidies policies also, so we can provide various concessional policies to our domestic traders. Then we can develop some local content also, like we can develop local partnerships also, so which will help the nations to endorse their own product in on domestic market first. Then preferential government procurement. Preferential government procurement is something when government is giving preferential subsidies or preferential preferences to specific area of sector. It may be agriculture or it may be IT sector or etc. Now, after tariffs and non-tariff barriers, we have to understand that what is the meaning of international economic integration. First, let us understand that what is the meaning of integration. Integration is nothing but what? To unite for one reason, to unite for one purpose. And the purpose behind this integration or the unity is economic integration. So like they can easily combat with their financial transaction, they can easily combat with their overall money transactions. But this combat relations between countries should be on the international or at the global level. It is a term used to describe the process which involves together of different economies into larger regional groups achieving some common economic objective. You may find definitely the countries have their own common goals. Countries have made some their common objectives. So in that case, when two or more than two countries having their own common objectives or having their own common goals, that time instead of working independently or individually, they are integrated together, and they are working together. So here we have some types or stages of economic integration, such as preferential trade agreement. Preferential trade agreement, like, when India or any specific nation giving special preferences to other countries on the basis of their social, economical, or political relations. So it depends upon how much countries are investing their currency in our economy, or how much we are investing into other nations. So in that case, we are developing whether we are into their preferential agreements or not, which we call as even the PTA. Then we have a free trade area. Free trade area is something when countries are not imposing tariffs, when they are not imposing any non-tariff barrier, and they're keeping the trading activities are absolutely free. They're keeping the businesses free. Free, it does not mean without cost or without price. They are only eliminating all the barriers. Then they have the custom union. Custom union is something when they unite together and they equate with one type of custom. Like you might have seen European Union, they have their own custom union, that they have their unity. So while traveling across the European Union nations, which comprises of 28 countries, they don't require uh, special customs duties which they are paying. They do not require to pay. Then we have the common market. Common market is something when they are sharing same commodities and same services into the global market. Economic union is something when they are integrated financially together. Monetary union is something when they are developing their own monetary system and they're trying to make the supply of money accordingly. And the fiscal union is something when they are establishing their own taxation and when they are establishing their own fiscal relations. Here we have few economic integrated economies in the world. Other than we have more than 100 economic integrations groups or the members. So the first is we have the EU, that is European Union, which was established in the year of 1933, and the European Union, which was signed under the Treaty of Maastricht in the Europe, which comprises of 28 countries, and it has a huge and long history that we will talk some other day. Then the Brexit, which is Great Britain when exit the European Union, because initially when UK was the part of EU, that time 29 countries were as the member countries. But when the Brexit, when the UK, United Kingdom, exit the EU, that time it was 28, and then in 2017, finally UK exit the market. Then we have the ASEAN, which was established on 8th of August 1967, and the headquarter of ASEAN located in Bangkok, Thailand, and it has 10 member countries. Then few more economic integrations we have across the world, like SAARC. We have SAARC. Then we have EEC. Then we have a NAFTA. Then we have a SAFTA, that is a North American Free Trade Agreement, South American Free Trade Agreements we have. Then we have a Benelux countries. Then there are many more economic integrated policies we have, but it depends upon country to country. Now on the next slide, we have to see the balance of payment, because till 7th chapter, we have seen how the trading activities develop, how the countries are imposing tariffs and non-tariff barriers, and out of those tariffs and non-tariffs, how the trade is establishing. But the question is, when trading activities are developing, when trading partners are developing, they have to have maintain some records also. They have to maintain some their transactions in a book. So the balance of payment is nothing but a country's graphical records of economic transactions between the residents of the reporting country to the resident of foreign countries during a given period of time. So usually we maintain these records for 1 year. Usually we maintain the records for 12 months, or there are few nations who are maintaining even the 3 months, 6 months, and 9 months also, but India follow 1 year ka duration. And in this particular record, we are trying to always balance the payment. We are trying to always balance the credit to the debit side. But often it happens that countries may are into surplus side, or sometimes they are may into a deficit side. So whether country is on the surplus or is onto the deficit side, it is known as a disequilibrium in the balance of payment, but that it will discuss in the next slide. What we have in this structural format of our balance of payment is all about the current account balance and the capital account balance. A current account balance is nothing but when the countries are maintaining the transactions of goods and services in a year, how much we are exporting and how much we are importing, how much we are exporting and how much we are importing for the year, and those transactions when we are recording called as the current account balance of payment. Then capital account is something how much we are paying for those export and imports, how much money goes and how much money comes. So those records we are usually maintaining in the capital account. Then we have the trade account. Trade account is something maintaining the transactions of our merchandisers account and even the invisible account. Like when we are keeping the records of even the invisible accounts also, how much we are exporting services and how much we are importing services. And the omissions and errors. Omission and errors sometimes, like when we could not calculate certain incomes, when we could not exist those transactions, so that time it's called as the omissions and the errors. But this balance of payment never be a balance. So sometimes, as I've told you, sometimes it may be on the surplus side, or sometimes it may be on the deficit side also. So we have to first quickly see what are the causes or what are the reasons behind these disequilibrium in the balance of payments. So when nation increases its import, when country only have more imports, so obviously money will goes away. So we have to reduce those excess imports. Then if we could not export more, then definitely we have to have import, which always depreciate even the value of our currency also, and it always devalued the currency in terms of FDI, that is foreign direct investments also. Then cyclical transmission. Cyclical transmission is something like when we are having the continuous export and imports, but in a unfavorable manner, which your cycle is not moving in a prescribed direction, it is going on the reverse cycle. Capital flight is nothing but when money goes away, when your money is not retaining in your own economy and is moving just because you have or country have more amount of imports. Structural adjustment, sometimes it requires to maintain the structural need also, that you might have required to change your entire economical structures also, that which will create or which will generate more amount of money, which will helps to develop more amount of employment, where the money flight will reduce more. Globalization is something when more and more countries are developing their partnership, when more and more countries are developing their trading partners and trading relations, which will help to globalize their economy. Now, how to correct the disequilibrium problem or disequilibrium solutions? Like we have seen already the causes, so these are the causes, but like on the other hand, now we require to correct also. So we have three policies or three ways. So the one policy is called as the expenditure reducing policies. Like we have to, means country has to reduce the expenditures. So how could we reduce the expenditure? That with the help of two policies. So one, that it will be your tightening the monetary policy, and one which will be your contractionary policy. Now, what is the meaning of tight monetary policy? Tight monetary policy is nothing but when you are reducing the money supply in the economy, when you are reducing the money supply in the economy, which helps to develop the rate of interest, which is contractionary. Like you are reducing money supply in the economy, and at the same time you are reducing even the rate of interest also. So people does not have money, and you're showing that the interest rate going up, which is more favorable. So that is the way that tightening the monetary policy. Whereas in the case of contractionary policy, they are doing in the reverse direction, that where they are not imposing, or they are not supplying more amount of money. They are actually releasing money, and they are cut down the interest rate. So people have money, but in the market, rate of interest is not favorable, which against the contractionary policy. Then after the reducing policies, expenditure switching policy. See, either you can reduce the expenditure or you can switch the expenditure. So first they said that first you just cut down your expenses. In case if you could not able to cut down your expenses, then to switch your expenses. So instead of spending your money on A commodity, go on to the B commodity. So which will help you to develop your devaluation, depreciation, export make you more cheaper, and imports make you more costlier. So as soon as you are helping or boosting your exports, your imports will definitely lighter. Your imports will become more and more costlier, which will help to appreciate Indian rupees and depreciate respective currency, which will help to devalue their currency, I mean international currency, and which will valued our own currency, which is domestic currency. Then direct measures, like how you can impose direct measures with the help of tariffs, quota, export promotion, and import substitution. So these are the non methods, you can say, and the one which we call as the monetary measures. So we have a monetary measures and non-monetary measures. Monetary measures, we have the reduce policy, expenditure policy, and you have a expenditure switching policy. And in case of non-direct, then we have a quota, tariff, export promotion, and import substitution. Now, at the end, where we can see the countries are developing their trading partners, when the countries are developing their horizons, and when they are come up with so many trading relations. So we required one organization which will help to direct the countries, which will help to make the narration of trading activities, which is called as the GATT. But the latter, the GATT became WTO, which was established in the year of 1995, the 1st January 1995. And on what principles the WTO, World Organization, works? So first, it has a non-discrimination. They do not discriminate the countries on the basis of their race, on the basis of their religion, on the basis of their any other factor. So in case if you have any trading problems, or in case if you need to develop your trading partners, WTO is always there to help you out. And WTO have their own forum, and every up to 2 years they conduct meeting with their member nations. Pre-trade, yeah, it always helps to countries to develop their even trading activities also. Predictability, which is non-measurable, but they always try to make the predictions are more and more fair. Promoting fair competition. Competition will be the part and parcel of trading activities. So they are trying to maintain the competition more and more fair. Competition should be more and more elective. Encourages development and economic reforms. Reforms are something when they are modifications into existing channels. Reforms are something when you are making certain improvements, when you are making certain major structural changes. That time it is called as the reforms, and those reforms be required in terms of development and in terms of economy. The last but the not least of your entire syllabus is all about the foreign exchange market. I strongly believe the forex market is the heart of your international economics, or of your international trade, because when trading is happening, when the trading occurs across the world, various countries have their own different currencies, and the currencies are also flying from one country to another, from one nation to another. So in this way, how you can make the currencies into one pipeline? We required one proper system that how the currencies can easily enable, you can say, or how the currencies can easily, proctor from one country to another country. It is an organizational setting within which individuals, businesses, governments, and banks buy and sell their foreign currencies. So we do not have official rights unless and until if you have some official reasons. Otherwise, a common or layman could not buy. the foreign currencies. So who are the major participants? Participants are those who are the players of foreign exchange market also. Players, participants, constituents, structure of foreign exchange market included retail client, commercial banks, foreign exchange dealers, foreign exchange brokers, central banks. So these are the participants or the players of foreign exchange market who deals with the foreign currency, who are responsible or an official agents to buy and sell the currencies. Then how the foreign exchange transaction get happened in the economy with the three ways. The one is called as the arbitrager, one is called as the hedger, and one is called as the speculator. So who are they basically? Arbitrage is an activity or is a transaction made or done by arbitrager. Who are they? They are usually the brokers who purchase currency, foreign currency from another country or from an ex country at a cheaper rate, and they try to sell the same currency in their home or in a domestic economy at a costlier rate. So always they gain the difference between the lower cost and the higher cost, called as the arbitrage or arbitragers. Then hedgers, or who, what is the meaning of hedging? Hedgers are people or a contractual agreement between two parties who always eliminate or who try to reduce the risk among the derivatives contracts. So usually you can go with the forward contracts, futures contract, or you can go with the options contract, swap contracts, or etc. So when they are trying to make a contractual agreement, that time they are called as the hedgers. Now, hedgers are whom? Hedgers are those who are trying to reduce the risk from the market, and speculators are whom? Speculators are those who are trying to insert the risk into the market. So one's role is to inserting or injecting risk, and one's who is eliminating or reducing the risk. Because ultimately, unless and until in the market, if we could not see, if we could not find a risk, we could not try to gain the profit. So the one who is eliminating and the one who is inserting, hedgers and speculators. Now the question is how usually the exchange rate gets determined. Determination of exchange rate is purely depends upon the market supply and market demand forces, how much countries are exporting and how much countries are importing. If we are exporting more, our currency will get always appreciated, and vice versa. So for the better exchange rate in the global market, we have to have increase our foreign direct investments, we have to have increase our exports, we have to have invite foreign direct investors for Indian economy, which will always helps to value the currency. And in case if our currency, in case if we are on the other side, like our imports are high, or we are not being able to call foreign direct investors, or if we are not being able to invest into some other countries, then our currency will get depreciate, which will causes a devaluation in a domestic economy. So after this, the one more concept which is developed by Gustav Cassel, who was the developer, or who has rewrite the theory called as the purchasing power parity, which was in the year of 1918. But the idea of this purchasing power parity theory came long back or long ago, which was School of Salamanca, and he has completed one particular law called as the law of one price. So David Ricardo later configured the entire theory, and Gustav Cassel, who trying to explain that the partnership or the pricing partnership should be based on the one law. So what it is all about, that it has a two versions. The one is called as the absolute version, and one it is called as the relative version. Absolute version is nothing but when you are paying more prices for the same commodity at present than in your past years, and relative prices is like something when you purchase same commodity either at a higher side or at a lower side comparatively to the other countries. Suppose it's have an example like purchasing a digicam in Hong Kong at the cost of rupees 50,000, and same camera when you purchase in India, for that you are paying 70,000, which cost you relative version. Like one commodity does not have same price in the world. Gustav Castle is always insisting that same commodity should have same price across the world. But ultimately, every country have their own terms of trade. Every country have their own policies. Accordingly, they are imposing some tariffs and taxes, which always increases the prices or it may decreases the prices. This is the last part of your crash course, all about the role of central bank in foreign exchange rate management. That what is the role, whether an authoritative agency, authoritative organization interfere in the foreign exchange market or not. To understand the entire crux of this interference, we have to go back little in the history in the past years. So first we have to understand that how the system has been developed. So if we will go like 100 years back, so we are not having any specific system. We might have conversion with a commodities, conversion with a barter system, conversion with some other animals or etc. But later, after First World War, okay, we have developed the one standard system called as the gold system. And gold system have their own three systems. One is called as gold standard, gold point, and gold specie. So these are the three systems which followed under gold standard. But apparently what happened, the price and the cost of gold became more and more costlier, which was not possible for every country to used as their metal or as their currency to enacted or to circulate in the economy or in the universe. Then they come up with the Bretton Woods Agreement. Bretton Woods Agreement is nothing but when the US economy, when the US currency started dominating the world after Second World War, when US economy was insisting to the world that in case of your international transactions, you have to use in US American dollar, which was later caused their major capital account deficits, and later the euro currency apparently born after this collapse of Bretton Woods Agreement. Then we have a fixed exchange, then floating exchange rate system. Floating has their own ways. The first is called as the free or clean float. Free and clean float is nothing but when the exchange rate is purely determined by market demand and market supply. Dirty floating is something when government is imposing some restrictions, government is imposing some tariff or non-tariff barriers. That way it's called as the dirty float. It's divided into two ways. The one is called as the monetary policy, or you can say the fiscal policy also. That is we call as even the sterilized intervention and unsterilized intervention also. Sterilized is something when the Reserve Bank of India or any central bank is interfere the foreign exchange market with their monetary policies factors, including CRR, SLR, bank rate, OMO, marginal standing facility, liquidity adjustment facilities, or etc. So that time it is called as a sterilized exchange rate. And unsterilized exchange rate when they are imposing the foreign exchange market with the fiscal policies. So it may increases their taxes, it may increases their tariffs or etc. Then managed float exchange rate system. Managed float exchange rate system first started in the European economy. They come up with one concept called as a snake in the tunnel. Snake in the tunnel is the concept which was come up after the Euro-eco crisis, Eurozone crisis also you can call that. And during that time, they have managed the high band and low band, where they're trying to maintain the currency with the high rate and the low rate, which is called as the managed floating exchange rate system. And the last, which is called as the crawling peg. Crawling peg is something you are keeping the market when you are keeping the exchange rate movable. The exchange rate is not controlled and it is not even moving fast. So this is what we have, the role of central bank, which interfere the foreign exchange market directly or sometimes even the indirectly also. So in nutshell, we will go back quickly and we will see what we have seen. So this is what we have the syllabus, as I have told you in the earlier also. The first module is something all about the international trade theories. Second module is all about your commercial policies. Third is talking about your balance of payment, that how the countries are maintaining their transactions, records, or etc. then WTO, how the WTO came into the picture, and the foreign exchange market, that how the foreign exchange market developed, and later how the central bank started, interfere in the market. So I hope you people have understood. In case if you have any query, my number is with everyone here. You can anytime contact me, or you can contact even our college also. Thank you very much once again, the entire management of S.S.T College of Arts and Commerce, and I'm obliged that they have invited me, and it would be my pleasure if I get a call once again. Thank you very much once again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for giving brief information. And definitely, sir, our students follow this fruitful information in their exam. Sir, there are a few questions. So can I go ahead with that?
Yes, ma'am. Please go on.
The first one, difference between hedging and speculators.
Speculators who are those creating risk into the market, because unless and until if we do not have risk, we could not create a market. So for market, we require risk factor. So once one person who is creating risk, there should be another who will eliminate the risk, or who will minimize the risk. So hedgers are those who help to minimize the risk by creating or making contracts between two parties. And those contracts we can have with the forward, futures, or it depends upon party to party.
Okay. The second one, what is a Brexit?
Okay. Brexit. When United Kingdom taken the decision that they want to leave European Union, and finally in the year of 2017, United Kingdom officially exit European Union. And that is why it is called as Brexit, because the former name of United Kingdom was the Great Britain. So that is why it is called as Brexit.
Okay. And the last one, difference between tariff and quota.
When countries are imposing any monetary factors, that it is called as a tariff. So it may be that imposing custom duties, excise duties, sales duties. These are the tariffs, and non-tariff is when they are imposing like quota system, import substitution, limiting their goods or services. They are promoting their exports. So that is called as a non-tariff.
Okay. Thank you, sir, for clearing doubts of our students. I take immense pleasure in extending my sincere thank you, honorable guest speaker, Ravindra Phadke, sir, for taking interactive session. I extend my heartfelt thanks to our founder principal and chairman, Dr. J.C. Purswani, sir, Vice Principal, Dr. Khushbu Purswani, ma'am, Vice Principal, Dr. Santosh Karwani, sir, HOD Reena Mishra, ma'am, and my colleagues, technical department, non-teaching staff, and my students for their support and conducting of 6 days course series successfully. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day ahead. Take care, stay safe, and stay healthy. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, ma'am.